So, first thing first, we should never forget the basics. What is basics? First is the listening and learning from a teacher is the preparation for the self discovery. And repeat listening and learning for contemplation and reflection that results into mental maturity. And when you have that mental maturity, a kind of detachment comes to your life. It is extremely important. We are normally talking about, I'm attached to my honey, but, sometime I fight with him or her also. That is your attachment. It doesn't work in the journey of the self discovery. The first is the knowledge directly that you receive from a teacher. And when there comes a mental maturity, then what happens? A kind of detachment comes. Now you are not attached. That causes the anxiety in your life all the time. And when you have that sense of detachment continues, then what happens is dispassion comes. Dispassion is almost a natural state of the mind. Are you attached to your neighbor's house, neighbor's car? No. Oh, I know. I'm talk to the neighbor, but it's okay. So there is no pain, pricking mind is there. So that leaves the mind in the state of a dispassion. So what happens when we follow this knowledge? When we follow this knowledge, then what happens? Satsang results into detachment. Satsang means listening and learning. And then comes the dispassion. Once you have detachment and dispassion, 80% of your mental confusion, distractions, and anxiety leaves you. But it has to be practiced all the time. It has to be applied in our daily life. So what happens, because of detachment and dispassion, now your mind is not running unnecessarily. It is not running. So you find the natural steadiness of the mind, and after that, the real journey begins. Then you are a great seeker, and the seeker never succeeds, never fails in the life, and you attain the freedom. What is that freedom? Is one element of the self discovery. Now, how to understand what are this? I won't use the word symptoms. What are the indications that we are progressing into this journey? Where are they progressing? There is another verse I have taken a couple of times in a different way. Vidya dadati vinayam. Vidya dadati vinayam. Vinayam dadati patratam. So the first line says the knowledge and plus understanding results into a humility. What is humility in learning? It is receptivity. No, I'm receiving everything. That is why you forget in every session. I receive everything. I say, what a wonderful practice. What a wonderful session it is. And then that wonderful disappears from your mind. So it should be a kind of receptivity. So the knowledge, when it starts settling, it results into receptivity. I'm not going into deeper aspect because receptivity is of two kinds in Eastern wisdom. Listening and learning are of two types. I'm not going there. So what happens when you have that receptivity? There is inner urge to continue the journey, to commit to the journey, not only once a week, 1 hour session, but whatever you learn, you implement, you apply that in your daily life. So what happens? You become a qualified seeker. You will find that sense of calmness is prevailing. So we become a qualified seeker. Now, once you become a qualified seeker, what happens? inner and the external wealth. First, inner wealth is known to you. What is inner wealth? First is mind is 100% available to you. Or you can say simply the calmness of the mind. What do you mean by mind is 100% available to you? When you are angry, the mind is 0% available to you. It is an impulsive mind. When you are anxious, when you are reacting, when you are blaming, when you are complaining, mind is not available to you. So that sense of awareness lives. Oh, this guy insulted me. Let me maintain my calm. Now mind is 100% available. Do you have that moment? You don't feel inside. You don't get upset inside because it is outer situation. How anything outer can affect you? It is my interpretation. That interpretation comes from the impulsive and the instinctive and the habitual. How dare you? How dare you? Maybe somebody doesn't say you in front of you, but they may say on your back. But I get upset. So that these are the six qualities. We will talk later. So six qualities makes you are calm. You can easily withdraw your sense organ from the outer situation. You see your honey is doing the thing that you dislike, you withdraw your sense organ. You are calm. It is not affected. Why? Whatever he or she is doing, let him or her do. I should not become a boss. The moment you become a boss, you react, you enter into a conflict, and you have a problem. And then you say, okay, I know I have a lot of problems. Problem with the one who was your soulmate before your marriage. What happens now? See, the inner wealth makes everything clear to you about the world outside, what you are doing, what effort you are making in your profession. So there is a calmness in the profession, there is a calmness in the family, there is a calmness in the social life, and life moves smoothly. So you see, you get those indications. If you are not getting those indications in these weeks and the months, then you may like me, but it doesn't make any difference in your life. Then what happens? Then your mind discovers intuitively what is the right action, what is the proper action, what is the right speech, what is the right thought I should have in this situation. That is a huge topic in Eastern wisdom. That is known as karma yoga. That use karma yoga, 1% of karma yoga is explained. You might have read lot of literature and the books and on the Google law of attraction. That is only 1% of the entire karma yoga. So what happens now? Your behavior and attitude changes. You are a qualified seeker. And then the journey brings the result in every session. So we are deviating a little bit from this topic, and I will relate this topic which Charlie asked. She asked that what is exactly the physical body, subtle body, causal body? She says, I'm fascinated by this, and there have been pondering and imagining. No imagining, no pondering. Understand the principle, because we have not taken up the basics of the Eastern wisdom, and that is explained in the basics of the Eastern wisdom. She also mentioned a wonderful point when you talked about the mind and Eller's ease. I remember learning that one person who had multiple personalities was extremely allergic to oranges in one personality and not when she was in another. Yes, yes, yes. So let us answer the first question. You see, when we enter into the journey of the self discovery, we have to understand the basic terms. Real self is the pure consciousness. The real self is at the center. The is real self is all pervading of the nature of truth, peace, and happiness. So now that real self is already in the state of permanent happiness, it has to do nothing. It doesn't change. The moment I do something, I will change. So consciousness remains unmanifest. Oh, it's okay. But how did consciousness manifest? That consciousness manifests through three bodies. Why they manifest? That is the another answer. So three bodies are there. So we say that if you want to discover the real self, you have to transcend the physical body. You have to transcend the subtle body. You have to transcend the causal body. Physical body is supported by the food from outside, any food that we take from outside that consists of five elements, and supported by the life force and the mind. That is what the physical body is. I'll explain it further. What is subtle body? So normally we say subtle body is the mind, but no. Subtle body means mind plus memory plus intellect plus ego plus five sense organs plus five motor organs. Because if you don't have five sense organs and five motor organs, mind has no way to manifest. So now, what about the physical body? Physical body is this body with a system and organs plus five sense organs plus five motor organs. What do you say? Yes, there is a difference. Five sense organs in the physical body is different from the five sense organs in the subtle body. Oh, we have double five sense organs? No, we have only one. In the physical body, it is the physical entities of my ears, my eyes, taste, tongue, and the nose and the skin. They are the physical entities made up of the physical matter, survived by the food. What about the five sense organs present in my? It is the faculty, it is the force by which I see. There are two things: eyes, faculty, the power by which the eyes see. Physical eyes cannot see. Have you seen a lot of people? Have you seen people? Their eyes look totally great, but when they say, "No, I'm blind." So, physical level, physical entity is okay, but that mental eye is not okay. That is why they are blind. Now, I am deaf. Oh, but I see your ears. You have ears. Do you see? So that is why it is known as the subtle body. So we have subtle five sense organs, means the faculty, the force that passes on to the physical eye by which I can see, that passes through the ears, I can hear, to the nose, I can smell. If that faculty is absent, then even if I have a nose, I cannot smell. Sometimes you see that people say that I have lost taste. I don't feel any taste. It is because of this. So that is the subtle body. Subtle body means mind and memory, intellect and ego, plus five sense organs. That means faculties. Faculty. It is the physical organ and the faculty. These two are different entities. If that faculty is absent in the mind, you cannot hear, you cannot see, you cannot smell, you cannot taste. It has to be supported by consciousness that manifests through the eyes so that I can see the form and the size and the shape. That's how I can hear the sound. Physical ear cannot see this, cannot hear the sound. Are you understanding? So these are the, now what we say, our master says, this subtle body is the cause of the physical body. Means the physical body is an effect of the mind. Effect of the subtle body. Whatever I'm thinking, the way I react and blame and complain and fight and anger and hesitation or pleasure, that shapes my body. You know, in any discipline, we want to know something, knowledge. We should always think in terms of cause and effect. When you define clearly the cause and effect, that is known as the knowledge. So, physical body, and we define it is an effect, and the effect, what is the cause? Cause is the subtle body. That's why we normally don't say it is the mind, it is the subtle body. So we can justify the faculties of the sense. Same way, the faculties of the motor organs. My hands is the motor organ are moving unless I have that faculty present in the mind. Then the mind wills. Then the mind says, now make an effort. And that is what I'm moving my hand, I'm moving my lips. Larynx are working. Otherwise, this physical body is purely a matter. It is dead matter. It is purely inert. Okay, I have understood a little bit. I'm still confused. No worries, you listen to it again. The confusion will be removed. Now as we defined that cause and effect relationship should be properly understood. That is what the science is doing. The entire science is doing the same thing. We are also doing the same thing. What is the cause of the subtle body then? Why you become angry over a situation and why the other person does not remain calm? Why you don't like the honey and the other women next door likes your honey? No, I'm just saying. Don't take it otherwise. Why it happens? You know, your husband or wife is so beautiful and wise. And the husband wife listening to it, I know how much he or she is worth. So those from where those impression comes? Those impressions lives in the causal body. The third body is the causal body. What it is made up of? It is made up of ignorance. When the ignorance came, endless, beginningless ignorance. The moment we were born, we came out of the womb of the mother. Do you know who you are? No, I didn't know. How can I know? I didn't have any identity. I don't know whether I is there or not. That is ignorance. That is ignorance. That is ignorance. And gradually, as we grow up, we become active and we start watching. My dad uses the word personal pronoun and the noun. Oh, that is what the I is. I don't know who is this I. I don't know. I'm still in ignorance. And I start using this I just out of ignorance. So it all comes from the ignorance. It all comes from that ignorance. Ignorance is known as causal body. Ignorance is also sometimes known as a delusion. That we live in the state of the delusion that I notion is there, but I don't know what is this I. So that ignorance which contains a reservoir of impressions. I'm not going into detail. It will take us many, many sessions, but I'm saying you that that ignorance which contains trillions of impressions that we have accumulated in present life and that we have we have brought back from the previous birth. That's why I'm not talking. It will take again what is the previous birth. We prove with the cause and effect relationship. Now see that we have those impressions passing from the causal body. This causal body means that this is the cause of both the subtle body and the physical body. That causal body means those impressions in the causal body chooses, decides which parents we should be born, which parents, which city, which country, what kind of a nature of the parents should be, where we should be born with this body. Say, for example, you have lot of reactions in the birth. So the nature's design is to endure that reaction. So they will put you with those people with whom you will react. So you have two choices, either to react or to endure. So when you endure, you change. When you don't react, when you react, you don't change. You further accumulate the impressions again in this life. And then your next birth will be the same. That is known as the cycle of birth and the death. Simply, it's a long topic, but I'm just giving you. So existence puts us into the situation with the parents, with the condition, with the challenges in our life is the best situation. I have to find out. I have to convert those adversities into an opportunities first by understanding through the subtle body. What will happen? I exhaust those impressions. I took a march on the process of evolution. So what happens? I have already given you a understanding of that. So this three bodies, behind that three bodies is located the real self. That is the pure consciousness. Just take an example of the sun. Sun. There is a yellow paper reflected causal body. Then that yellow light is reflecting into the subtle body. The subtle body, take it as of red color. So now the red color is reflected into the physical body. But ultimately, see, all those reflections of yellow, red, and blue, basically it is because of the real self. It is because of the consciousness. You remove the consciousness, no physical body, no subtle body, and no causal body. They do not exist. They only exist because of the presence of the consciousness. That is why, see, when we see the dead body, we say he has left. Who has left? Body is still there. Body is still there. How can you say he has left? Who has left? That has left. So these three bodies cannot function without the presence of the consciousness. Is the consciousness cause of the physical, subtle, and the causal? No, it is independent. It is free. That's why we say dead body. He has left, or she has left. Why I only say he has left? So that consciousness is independent, free of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom, because it is filtered. So when it goes into the causal body, it mixes with those impressions, it creates its own notion. And those notions are passed on to the mind. It triggers me to think, speak, and react. That is the subtle body. How can I react? Physical body is the servant of the subtle body. So I manifest my reaction, my anxiety, my dualities, my problems, my challenges. But I don't see the reality. So when I don't see the reality, then I suffer. When I don't see the reality, I'm in ignorance. That is why our master says, Asatoma Satgamaya. You see, the entire journey is summarized in 3 phrases. Asatoma Satgamaya. So we pray to the existence. Pray means I recognize I'm living in ignorance. Prayer is not, you're going to the mass prayer or any religious prayer. Prayer here means a recognition. What is that recognition? I know that I do not know myself. What happens? I move into humility. That is what I explained to you before. Unless we have that sense of humility and receptivity, the mind starts separating what comes from the causal body or the past impressions do not attack me. Because I recognize. I see a person and my mind internally becomes upset and angry. At the same time, I recognize no one is responsible for my anger. It is happening because of my attachment. It is happening because of my expectations from the other person. I give a different interpretation of the person who is in front of me. That different interpretation caused the anger, but that person is not responsible for my anger. Do you see that? If you see that, you will change. You have changed from today. You have changed. Everyone has changed now. But it does not happen so easily. That is why we go deeper into the subtle body, its constituents. We understand how the thought comes and how it turns out into a speech and a behavior and a reaction. We dig deep inside. The greater and the deeper the understanding, we prevent that causal body to put its impact on the subtle body. So there is no impact. Mind is free. So if there is no inner impact on the subtle body, the outer situation doesn't affect. Do you see that outer impact? Outer situation, condition, people, relationship do not affect. That is known as dispassion. That is why I started with that. That is known as dispassion. Before dispassion, there should be a sense of detachment. So they are only the filters, the causal body, the subtle, and the physical. You remove all the filters. Doesn't mean that you have to die to find the real self. I said remove those filters mentally by knowledge. Asatoma Satgamaya, lead us from the false to the real. Second is Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, lead me from ignorance to wisdom. And what happens? Ignorance to. So you put that knowledge in your head that anything identified with the physical, subtle, and the causal is not me. They are the instruments in your head, in the knowledge. So when that knowledge is there in the mind, that is known as awakening, that is known as nirvana. Third line, mrityorma mritangamaya. What happens then when you have that knowledge? You see, only in three verses, everything is complete. So lead us from mortality to immortality. What changes that has to die? What does not change will not die. That is why we say the real self never dies. Why? It does not change. Why? It is of the permanent happiness. It does not change. It remains as it is. It is independent of all the three bodies. What is independent of the three bodies is the real self. So what happens? That pure consciousness takes another body the way we change our used clothes. We wear the new clothes. The same way the three bodies. It, close your eyes. Eyes are closed and eyes are closed. Being comfortable. To being comfortable, my friends, being comfortable, my friends, means you look at the neck joint. This neck joint is the physical entity. Good. But who recognizes this physical entity is the subtle body. Recognize this. From where this impression has come? From the causal body. No, no, but you said causal body is ignorance. Yes, we recognize I am the body. That is where the ignorance is working. Oh, this is what you said? Yes. Look at the neck joint, be aware, experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. And then look inside. What you see inside is just the darkness. Is the darkness not the sign of ignorance? Because I don't know anything. It is simply emptiness, blankness. So that needs to be understood. Yes. And so it's a long journey ahead. So look at the entire body from from the top of the head to the toes. And experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. And look inside. When you look inside, again, we find whether you say emptiness or whether you say blankness or space, whatever you say, it is all the same. So we find that blankness because in the early part of the journey, we leave the mind there. Why? We want a constant and a continuous withdrawal of the mind from the outside world to inside to be placed into this space so that the mind does not give any wrong interpretation of the outer situation. That is why I said we have to be comfortable. We have to be a comfort, not to be not to be swayed by wrong notions. Now, see in the other step that we do, that will make a sense now. Why we be? I said be carefree. What do you mean by being carefree? All activities of life first starts from the mind. Will or intent or a choice is known in the mind, and then we have make an effort to either speak or act physically or express. You see, but if the mind is full of impurities, I have been talking about the impurities. Mind is full of impurities. What will happen? The mind will act accordingly. Mind will act accordingly. So, what is this you're talking about? These are the impurities. That is why we behave the way we behave. That is why we act the way we act. So now instead of acting, instead of acting with those impressions, and we install something new, yes, that is what the journey of the Eastern wisdom. So what we are doing, so what we have to do first we have to separate it. How to separate? Where? We have to separate in the mind. So that is why I said lane one, unwanted thoughts, feelings, and the impressions. If they are coming to your mind, I I told you before also that you simply watch them. Now see what happens. Watching is also done by the mind, one compartment of the mind. That is known as the I thought. And content in the mind, that is the lane one. Content in the mind is the lane one. We are watching with the I thought with an intellect. That is why I explained you subtle body has these for mind and the memory and intellect and the I thought. So what happens the moment you watch and you see them separate, the calmness is known. What is that calmness? Calmness is already present in the mind, in the background. That is why I always emphasize if you contemplate and reflect during the day, after listening and learning, you repeat the practice every day without fail. No, we don't have time. We are very busy. While we are busy, I spend 5 hours for shopping. 5 hours, I bought only two things. So we have 5 hours for a shopping. We don't have a time for contemplation. It will not work. So we have to dedicate. So you see that being carefree is this. So now, because we want that body should remove the agitated state. So if it is relaxed, if it is still, that I thought will not be able to act. And if it is not able to act, what a great thing will happen. So look at the neck joint. That is why I say look at the neck joint. Be there, you are simply aware and experience sensation, relaxation instantly. So what is happening? That causal body also contains the good impressions. There are two two types of impressions contains in the causal body. So you are triggering the positive impressions coming from the causal body, returning to the mind, manifesting into the physical body, is the result of sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Remember, there's two types of impressions in the causal body. In the causal body is there. So you trigger the positive ones in the mind that attracts, or you can say that explores the positive ones from the causal body, returns to the subtle body, manifest in the physical, is the result of your sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Forget for the time being the scientific explanation. They don't have a real cause and effect relationship. That's why they are not able to treat even a single mental disorder. But anyhow, they have discovered more than 3,000 abnormal mental and emotional conditions. They go on exploring it. Again, I'm repeating. So what happens? Look at the right arm, be there. This is awareness. What is this awareness? This is, you can say, the part of the real self. So you are simply looking at the right arm, be there. What your experience is, sensation, relaxation, and stillness, where you experience in the mind, the same mind which experienced the reaction, anger, hesitation. So repetition will helps you to create these emotions, these experiences that will trigger the causal body to return only the positive impressions. So the negative impressions of reaction, anger, and anxiety does not return. So means, they have stopped working in you. What means they will dissolve by themselves. Do you see the importance of this step? Look at the left arm, be there, awareness of sensation, relaxation, and stillness. You are not taking anything from outside to experience that sensation, relaxation, and stillness. It is coming from inside that our mind is not able to understand. Why? Impurity, ignorance. Role of the causal body. Move the mind on the chest and the belly, be there, feel and experience the sensation, comfort and steadiness, or sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Look at the right leg, be there, feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Just be aware of the left leg, be there, sensation, relaxation, and stillness. The entire body, sensation, relaxation, and stillness. When you look inside, we still see a space and emptiness. So it is better to see and experience emptiness instead the repeated crazy thoughts. They may be there, but now they are too far. They are too far from you to disturb you. What did I say? They are too far. They are still there. Because until we remove completely the ignorance, these impurities is not going to go away sooner. And that is why it's a journey, step by step understanding. So we experience the sensation, relaxation, and stillness, and the space inside. And now there is a gentle way of doing it, gentle way. to explore further. What do you mean? Yes. How? By just looking at the breath. You are looking at the breath going in and out, no change, and and feeling the sensation. So what happens? It works at the physical body. What you experience, it works at the mental body or the subtle body. It gives a break to the causal body to bring in, give a break, give break to causal body to interfere. So what happens? So breath awareness, simple breath awareness in this way means you are looking beyond the physical and the subtle body. If that awareness is not developed, then we can keep on focusing the breath for 20 years, 30 years, nothing happens. Yes, we experience some relaxation and calmness, and the hesitation and the same habit and the behavior returns. So, how to recognize? Now, understand again how to recognize, that causal body plus the subtle body is interfering. You lose track of awareness of the breath. I said to do nothing. I said, do nothing, just awareness of the breath. And awareness of the breath is lost. It is lost. Why it is lost? Ignorance, habits, behavior. So they pop up in our mind to create a sense of they pop up to create a sense of forgetfulness. My master used to say that if one can remain aware of the breath even for 5 minutes, you step into the new level. Even 1 minute is challenging. There are very subtler level of the impressions. They create a wrong notion and it claims I'm still aware of the breath, but it is not. That causes the lot. So those challenges are known as all the impurities of the mind. When I have chosen not to be distracted, I must still get distracted. I made a choice, but I am helpless. That helpless is caused by the causal body, wrong notions, impressions, ignorance, whatever you want to say. Shanti. Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. We will share our experiences. And also, you can ask any question if you have in your mind for clarity. So, how are you, Charlie?
I'm good. I went somewhere else. I was listening to you, and then I disappeared somewhere. I was aware, and then I came back.
Yeah, that disappearance means ignorance. It is due to the causal body.
Ah,
Even though the consciousness is there, but I disappeared. I don't know where. That is a journey you can pick up. Really, that is the way we understand. We understand with everything, with the cause and effect. Yes, and how are you?
Oh, it's on. I'm fine. I did
Yes.
not always follow. There was a moment I fell asleep. So
Sleep is also the cause caused by ignorance.
that's right. That's what I suffer from.
So you see that now you can make out that, oh, journey is so deeper and the subtle. We explain these concepts in a very simple way, but whether it's a sleep or I did sleep is also means that I don't know where I am. Who am I?
Right.
So that is also one aspect. So there are many layers of the ignorance. I think I gave an example that a gift with the three layers. We have three layers of the problem. First layer is the impurities of the mind from the outermost layer. Second is the distraction. The mind keeps on distracting. It goes somewhere, or it falls into unconsciousness. And third is the ignorance. Ignorance means that I create a wrong notion, misconceptions. So unless these three layers, three boxes are removed, I cannot see what the gift is. That makes So think of it constantly. Our meat is enjoying her awareness or sleep, we cannot say, but
so
or will she return? Let us see if she returns. From where? That she has explained.
Garish.
Yeah.
So, um, so like I said, I felt like I disappeared and went somewhere else. I can be aware of that and say, that was ignorance.
Yes, that's a good.
I can be aware of that and say, that's what
At
happened.
at the time of disappearance, you were not there. So when you spoke to me that I disappeared somewhere else, it is a memory of the mind. When you return to a conscious state, so the memory you recall that I disappeared somewhere else. So you record that memory of disappearance. At the time of disappearance, you were totally in ignorance. Are you getting?
Yes, yeah. So just be aware that happened. To
So
see
that awareness is lost, caused by the ignorance, the impurities, and the distractions of the mind. So if we do not remove that, no chance. No
So
chance of realizing the real self.
so that's this practice. It's just to keep doing this practice, doing this practice.
Yeah. Not only keep doing this practice, but we grow in knowledge. We enter into the deeper layers, the subsections of the subtle body, subsections of the ignorance, and that is how the journey has to continue, step by step.
Thank you.
So, thank you. That is all I think you can talk to our friend Mead. You can share your experiences.